In this class, we're going to go over questions on velocity time graph. Okay, let's start with the first question. We are asked to consider the diagram on the board. The diagram on the board represents the velocity time graph of a body in motion. The total distance traveled by the body is 195 meters. Calculate the acceleration of the body in the section OP. You understand? Now look at the question. Please kindly pay attention. If you look at this velocity time graph, we discover that the first motion of the object is acceleration. Why? Because the body accelerates from this point to this point. You understand? Then it maintains a constant velocity at this point, from this point to this point, then decelerate. You understand? Okay. Now, please kindly pay attention. We are given in the question that the area is 195 meters. You understand? So let's start with that. The distance, the total distance traveled by the body is equals to 195 meters. Don't forget the goals. The goals is to determine the acceleration from point O to point P. You understand? That is what we want to find. But we cannot know the acceleration without calculating the velocity. You understand? Because acceleration tells us how fast the velocity of an object is changing. Okay, so in an attempt to help us to determine the acceleration, we first need the velocity. You understand? We need the maximum velocity. Now, I told you in our previous class that when you talk about distance on a velocity time graph, the distance represents the areas of the shape that the velocity time graph gives. You understand? Now, if I ask you this question, what is the shape of this? What is the name of this shape? Let me draw the diagram out. What is the name of this shape? Because this is how the velocity time graph look like. This OP, then we have Q. Let me call this one S. You understand? Let me put S here. Point S. Now, what is the name of this shape? Of course, this shape is a trapezium shape. You understand? So now, this place that you see here, the point that you see here is known as the height. You understand? Now, with respect to the formula for calculating trapezium, you understand, the areas of a trapezium is given by this formula. 1/2 multiplied by A plus B H. You understand? 1/2 multiplied by A plus B multiplied by H. A is the two parallel sides of the trapezium. You understand? Trapezium has two parallel sides. The first parallel side is PQ and the second parallel side is OS. You understand? So, now, in that case, since we know that the area is the total distance traveled when we talk about velocity time graph,